County Sheriff's Office. I decided to run because several years ago I spearheaded a campaign by the name of Roland Youngman. He ran against Dupnick. We put up the best numbers that any candidate did against Clarence. I'm a former deputy. I've worked under his administration. I resigned because I didn't agree with the politics. I didn't agree with the direction the department was going in. I felt that changes had to be made, and I was not happy working for that administration. There are things the administration does. They'll target individuals. They will prevent you from doing the job that you were trained to do. They will micromanage, and I do not believe law enforcement needs to be micromanaged. From the time that you are going through the hiring process, putting in your application, until the time that you are off of the FTO, which is field training officers, you are vested probably about $125,000 as a taxpayers to that deputy. They do not get to perform their duties the way they are trained to do it. They are worried and they are scared as to what consequences may come down the pike if they do something wrong instead of being trained properly. When I resigned from the Sheriff's Department, I went into the private investigation company. Right now I do about 80% worth of criminal defense work. This gives me the advantage of running for sheriff because I see the other side of how defense attorneys attack and defend a criminal. The major things that I look for is in the report writing. The whole investigation is based upon how the report and how the investigation is conducted. I've had cases where the reports were so bad that all we had to do is raise an argument to the county attorney's office and they would dismiss the charge. That's how bad some reports are. There are instructors that do train on how to write reports, but they're not well written. I believe the department has to be proactive and not reactive. I know many of you have heard me say this already. Currently, under the administration of the Sheriff's Department, deputies are sitting by eating lunch, or they sit down in groups and they talk about their daily activities. They wait for a call to come in before they are dispatched. Instead of being proactive, they wait for that call and then they'll go out and they'll respond, they'll take a report. Most of the time, by the time they get to that incident location, it's already dispersed, it's already gone, it's already happened. By taking the department and making it proactive and getting them out there and cutting them loose to do their job, I believe it will also cut down in the way the criminal activities are formed. What I mean by that as well is the highest crime rate in Pima County is property crimes. You got your burglaries, you got your larcenies, you've got your check frauds, you've got credit card frauds, you got theft, identity theft. You start targeting those by setting up sting operations. I believe the criminals will then start second guessing where to go to try and pawn one of your items off. The example I'm going to give you is my client is a victim of $1 million burglary. How many of you guys remember that several years ago? No, let me just give you a brief rundown. She resided in Chicago, very wealthy lady. She came down to Tucson, she owned a house here. During the middle of the night, she woke up and saw somebody running from her house. Called the police, they respond, they do a quick inventory. Her safe was broken open and $1 million worth of jewelry was gone. One of the items was a $250,000 diamond ring. At that time, it was 8 years ago, it was right before the election for sheriff. There was a ring of burglaries up in the foothills. They called my client approximately 2 weeks before the election and said they had captured, apprehended the suspect. A week after the election, they then called her and says, no, we made a mistake. He was not the perpetrator, he just pawned off your ring. She She then hired me. Through my investigation, I believe I found the perpetrator who actually entered her residence, broke into the safe, and left. I got that reinforced because as a victim, you are entitled to go to the court hearings and you're told all along the way as the progress of the investigation. She and I went to court, we sat down. Shortly thereafter, a man walked in, sat down right in front of her, and I says, I believe that is your perpetrator. She grabbed my arm so tight and says, you're right, that is. However, when I talked to the detective who was in charge of that case, he says he already questioned that person and ruled him out. To date, that person still has not been caught. Property crimes are too high here. Part of the property crimes, statistically, is because of UDAs, illegal aliens, undocumented aliens. They come into the country. Back in 2010, I believe it was July 2010, Clarence Dupnick said that he was not going to enforce SB 1070 because it's nothing more than merely a trespass violation. What Mr. Dupnick didn't also further state is that a lot of the coyotes or the people who are running the smugglers in here are carrying dope. They break into houses, they rape women, they steal weapons from the house because when they go back to Mexico, those are heavily sought weapons or items for trade and for sale. I've worked a case in Cochise County where that had happened. Broke into one house, stole weapons, went a mile down the road, raped a woman. They made it back to Mexico. So it's just not a trespassing thing. What I decide when I'm elected is to implement the posse and to bring back the reserves. What this is going to do is it's going to free up some time for my deputy, my commissioned officers to do their job. It's going to also put down in the heavily trafficked areas of where the smugglers carry out their dope and the other illegal aliens and focus on those. The Sheriff's Department knows where these routes are. They know where they're at. They just don't opt to patrol them 24/7. What I would also like to do, because as a sheriff, I can deputize anybody. I would like to put out notices to the other agencies, whether it's up in Flagstaff, Mojave County SO, Bullhead City, ask them to supply one of their officers for 6 months at a time, bring them down here and have them patrol the areas. By patrolling the areas heavily, and I'm not saying secure the border, because everybody knows that crime has no border. It comes in from Mexico, it'll come in from California, it'll come in from Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado. It'll come in. It's also breeding in our backyard. I want to push it out. And by doing that, you show a heavy force of law enforcement that is being active, they're going to start second guessing where they're going to go. So by fortifying these areas that are heavily traveled, and it's the Aravaca, Green Valley corridor, it's going to be pushed out. And when you push it out, it's going to go to California or it's going to go to New Mexico. I don't care where it goes. I just want it in Pima County. My obligation is to the people of Pima County. Statistically, and I've looked this up, I wrote them down, I'm not going to read them off to you, but if you go on to the FBI Uniform Codes, you can get the statistics. Pima County has 25% of the population of Maricopa. However, statistically, if you look at the property crimes, you look at the violent crimes, you look at the rapes, homicides, murder, they're almost neck and neck. Why is that? Because Tucson is known as the drug hub of the Southwest. There are stash houses here that they know about. They do a bad investigation. Everybody knows what happened with the Karina shooting. By a bad investigation, you're going to end up with horrible results. That's the bottom line. How much time?
Whatever you want.
I'm fine, okay.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
You have a minute there. 2 minutes? Okay. So statistically, we are just about neck and neck with Pima or Maricopa County, and we are 25% less population, even though we are the 7th largest county in the country. Again, by taking a proactive stance and a position instead of a reactive, I think we can bring those numbers down to more realistic, and we can protect the community better than what's being done right now. My name is Fredrick. I'm running for sheriff, and I thank you for coming down and listening.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Terry?
What do you think of gangs, Mexican gangs? Do you think we are being,
Truth of the matter, gangs have been here, okay? Gangs are formed for multiple reasons, but the major reason is to act as a family and whole, because they're not getting the support from their household, their mom, dad, brothers, sisters, or they're just going up the chain because that's what they're accustomed to do. But the major reason gangs are in place is because of money, drugs. And if you start curbing that and pushing it out, I believe the gangs are going to go out too. The unfortunate thing is everybody knows crime is going to occur. It's how much of the crime are you going to tolerate before you take those steps to start curbing that. But yes.
Any other questions?
I got a question. Right now, we're in a period of time where a lot of people are focusing on finances and how you're going to organize and pay for your services that you're providing to the public. My question here is this. If you're going to try to rein in spending and how you're going to manage your budget, how are you going to do that and still sufficiently pay for training, equipment, and staffing to get people on the ground and manage the actual responsibility of protecting the public?
Okay. I was just talking about statistics. Okay? The FBI. When an officer responds to a call, and he clears that call, which means he's done with the investigation, there are clearance codes. He'll notify communications, or he'll type it in on his computer of that clearance code and how it's cleared. Okay, you understand? Those codes then go to Washington, but they also stay here. And a lot of federal grants and a lot of grants are applied for. That's where a lot of money will come into play. But the sheriff's department has their own budget. They put it together. They know what they're going to need, or they should know what they need. Present it to the county board of supervisors. Hopefully it gets approved, which I know it has. The last several years, the sheriff's department has been over budget. They go back and ask for more money. I understand that in the course of business, there's things that you don't understand, that you may not foresee that's going to happen, and you may have to go back and ask for more. But I believe that good management is going to resolve the issue. And I'm going to also say, just to top that out, that the sheriff's department is top-heavy. They have 3 assistant chiefs, they have multiple captains, they have multiple lieutenants, they have multiple sergeants. And I am going to tell you right now, I know for a fact that last year there were several deputies that tested for sergeant. They wanted one deputy who ranked number 6. They promoted all 5 deputies ahead of her in order to promote her. We do not need a lieutenant to overlook the grant program. We do not need a lieutenant to look at the property and evidence and just sit there in a chair and manage what's going on there. We don't need a lieutenant in human resources. We need these people out on the street. That's my opinion. As sheriff, as your elected official, I will be in uniform. I don't believe in a suit and tie. Excuse my attire right now, but I don't believe in a suit and tie when you're working in law enforcement, because you are an authoritative figure. You have the authority to arrest and take away somebody's liberties. You're out there on the street. I will be out there on the street between 8 and 12 hours a week patrolling, taking calls. I will have my assistant chief, one assistant chief, and I will have my captains and my lieutenants do the same thing. You're going to have a higher presence on the street, and you're going to have these people still in touch with the changing ways of their community, instead of becoming complacent in a soft chair in an office. So they're all going to be in uniforms, they're all going to hit the streets, so that they have a realization as to what your deputies are still doing. You have commanders up there that have been sitting in an office for 20 years, instituting policy criticizing somebody on the street. And I know I'm a little off base here, but I'm gonna tell you as a sample, Aravaka, female deputy, makes a traffic stop. As she gets out, approaches the vehicle, two people exit their vehicles with assault weapons and start firing at her. She retreats, she gets hit in the leg, she's behind her car, returns fire. Two codes are important to law enforcement, 999, 998. 998, officer involved shooting, 999, officer needs help right now. Okay? Not much of a difference, but there is a difference. She gets up on the radio, 999, 999, 999. Help arrives, everything gets taken care of. Department reprimands her and suspends her for 2 weeks because she used the wrong code. That lowers the morale in the department. By going out there and being involved and taking calls, regardless of what it is, those commanders are going to understand that there's still a threat that they're not accustomed to seeing any longer because they're in a safe environment. So, not to get off your question, but I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I was looking at really the balance between making sure that we're accounting for every dollar that we're spending, but also we're still sufficiently funding training, equipment, things like that. And how would you oversee that aspect of the job?
I believe training is key. You cannot do your job unless you're trained. I believe that because the law changes on a daily basis and every situation changes on a daily basis, that you continue with training. Right now, I believe that it is against the law to mandate certain physical appearances. Once you're hired and you get trained, you can just let yourself go and not have to worry about it. I would encourage my deputies to stay in shape, encourage them to go into the academy and train with some of these people periodically and stay up on the laws as well.
I have 2 questions. So the first one is something you said about promotion. So you believe only sheriffs or deputies who are out on the street are promotable? That's kind of what it sounded like.
Deputies on the street are promotable?
No, that only they are. So you're saying people in HR and people who are doing.
I make a reference to commissioned officers,
Uh-huh.
and the people in human resources are civilians. And the highest that a civilian will be promoted to technically is a supervisor position.
Right, but you were, I don't know, one of your comments just struck me kind of strangely. You said someone doing books and who's not out on the street gets promoted to a lieutenant or something.
No, what I believe I said is lieutenant oversees the grant program. Okay? They have civilians that write out the grants, but they have a lieutenant that oversees that department.
I don't remember exactly what you said, it struck me.
If you remember, please talk to me.
And then my other question was, you were going to supplement our force by getting volunteers from other counties.
Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't they need their own deputies there, or how are you going to entice them to come here?
Well, it's through an IGA, an intergovernmental agency agreement, and it's not uncommon because you have CNA, which is your Crime and Narcotics Alliance, that is consisting of DPS, South Tucson, Sahuarita, Marana, Oro Valley. They have officers that they allow to come and work for CNA for a certain period of time. It would be the same type of program.
Any?
We have a state senator here, Terry, and what is the role of the state legislature in providing some current funds to the Pima County Sheriff's Office and law enforcement or sheriff's administration? And the role of these.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Senator Smith here, perhaps you could answer the state, what should the role be of the state legislature? Are they providing any funds for law enforcement in Arizona counties with their immigration? And secondly, with all the detail you've given us about aspects of law enforcement, maybe the body should ask Terry to give us an outline, a monograph or so, in great detail,
like next year and all that.
And I will keep that in mind about an outline, because in reality, that's when this election is really gonna heat up, is next year, because there's 4 candidates running in this primary. Being a former deputy, I know the intricacies of the department, I know where some of the problems are. We do need a change, I think that's why there's 4 candidates. Everybody knows that Duke's been there for, it will be 32 years. Yeah. What I offer is youth also. Besides experience, I offer youth. Fresh ideas, I will align myself with knowledgeable people. Age has no bearing in that category. You just want to be able to provide the best law enforcement that you can. Okay, to answer your first question, the legislation here is here to make laws. I'm here to enforce them.
Alright, thank you, Terry.
Anything else?